everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights and Beyond. Today, we are emphasizing the Beyond portion of our title. My name is Scott Porter. I played Jason Street on the show.
I'm Zach Gilford. I played Matt Saracen. And with us today, we have the amazing Glen Powell, who played fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank. You might have seen him in The Great Debaters. You might have seen him on TV on Scream Queens as Chad Redwell, one of my favorite characters of the past 2 decades. A little movie called Top Gun Maverick. He just produced and starred in a movie called Devotion. Hidden Figures, another show that I think your cast won an award for. SAG Award?
SAG Award.
SAG Award.
There you go.
So the big question, Glenn, before we start anything, is what is the draw of Friday Night Lights that could possibly get you to sit here across from us two idiots and talk about the show all day? Like, was this one of your favorite shows of all time?
Day. We're going to be here for like 45 minutes or so.
7 hours of potting.
Until Glenn's got to go. I'm sure he's got a workout he's got to get to.
Yeah. No, I'm going to avoid that. We're going to do this for 7 hours. This is my workout today.
There you go.
No, I mean, growing up in Austin, Texas, this show was the most iconic thing that's ever happened to Austin. And growing up and playing Texas football and being around, being obsessed with, film and TV and this business, this was the only show I cared about growing up. So it's like very cool to be in the room with you guys.
Not that you had to, because I didn't. Did you play high school football?
Yeah.
No? You did?
Yeah. I played for Westwood High School in Austin.
Is that Round Rock?
Round Rock.
Round Rock
Wait,
ISD?
Isn't that where Drew Brees went?
No, Drew Brees went to
Westlake.
Westlake.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
that's we were more of like a math science magnet that had a football team. We were decent. I mean, we went to the playoffs and stuff when we were there, but Westlake was always dominant. They were always
Wait. So math science magnet, not an arts magnet? What did
I guess they had like an arts thing. You're right. There was like maybe like a theater program. I didn't do the theater program, but it definitely was not like a football school. Like if the amount of money that went into the Westlake program, like that's where if like your kid was destined for great things in the football world, like you were going to Westlake. You weren't going to Westwood.
Yeah.
So Matt Saracen was not going there.
No, he was going to Westwood.
Yeah.
So you were born and raised in Texas,
Yep.
right? What part?
Austin, like northwest-ish. Yeah, sort of around there.
And how old were you, do you think, when the show came out? It's 2006?
We could do the math.
I think it was earlier than that because I think I was like, is 2006 when you guys started?
That's when it aired.
Yeah, that's when it aired.
Okay, so I think I auditioned for it. Must have been 2005. So I was a sophomore in high school.
You were a sophomore in high school. Wait, you auditioned for the show?
I auditioned for the show. I've auditioned for the show many times.
What was your first audition?
And obviously, since I'm a guest on the show and not your cast member, it's never worked out.
Hey, dude, don't feel bad. We've talked about it a lot. I originally auditioned for Riggins.
Oh,
which
really?
Was like, I think they just were like, hey, go, read some words. No one's ever going to cast you. And then, but I eventually found my way to Saracen, and had the show gone longer, or if you weren't busy doing other things, because I think you got very successly pretty quickly, I think you would have found your way onto the show.
Definitely not quickly. But that was like, I auditioned for Riggins as well. And then there was like the other quarterback. They brought in the other quarterback from the
McCoy.
Oh, J.D. McCoy. You auditioned for J.D. McCoy?
I auditioned for J.D. McCoy. And then there was
You're too likable for J.D. McCoy. I'm telling you that right now.
I mean, if you
I wanted that one so bad. I was so bummed out when that did not work out. I was like, I so thought I was going to get that.
I was going to say you probably didn't get the show because you were too young. Because I was 25, 26 playing high school.
Yeah.
You were actually in high school, and they didn't like to cast people in high school unless Jesse Plemons was the exception.
And Amy, so I got to hang out with the high school kids, with Amy and Jesse, and I love them deeply. Jesse's one of my closest friends to this day. But you guys were all off being like sexy 20-somethings on a TV show, and I was like teaching Amy T. Garden how to drive. And I'm not even kidding. I literally taught her how to drive, and I love her, but I was like big brother. And Jesse, and if I'd see them at a party or something in Austin, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah,
nope, let's go.
But
get in the Subaru.
What other roles did you?
There was another one. There was another role that Matt Lauria ended up getting.
Luke
that
Cafferty.
role. Yeah, Luke Cafferty.
44.
Shoot, that was another one. I remember knowing the point in the audition because that was when I was already out here. Like I moved out to LA and auditioned for Pete Berg out here. And we've all been in those auditions where you, midway through the audition, you're like, oh, I'm blowing this. Like this is a role I want so much. And I think that was the problem also me auditioning for this is like, I love this show so much that you're almost like too big of a fan.
It's so close to home.
You know what I mean? You care too much.
Yeah.
Acting so much is like, throwing it away and kind of being able to kind of interpret it in a way and being a fan of the show and auditioning for it. I think you may feel too much pressure. And
so I want to ask then, so you watched the show as you stated. So
was it appointment television for you every week? Was it like...
What was that? Oh, yeah. Again, this was when it
aired.
Playing football, playing high school football in Texas when that show first aired was also... Because I also remember Pete, when I was younger, went to Westlake High School and shadowed some folks.
Coy Awney.
The Awneys. Yeah, exactly. And then, so I knew some of the other guys at Westlake, some also like Justin Street and Jason Street. You remember those guys?
Yeah.
Not Jason Street.
I was like, do you remember Jason Street?
Wait.
The pitcher.
Houston Street.
Didn't
he shadowed Houston, right?
He did a little bit, yeah. He wanted to see what that big man on campus kind of experience was. And I don't know if you know this, the evolution of Jason Street actually coming to existence is because Coy Awney, who he was shadowing at the time to see this big man on campus, was hit by a young man who played for a San Antonio high school named David Edwards, and he was paralyzed while Pete was watching the game. And Pete's homage to David Edwards was to create the character of Jason Street. He had no plans to have a character like Jason Street on the show, but then he saw that happen, and it happened while he was shadowing Coy Awney and kind of getting that experience. And so that's how that evolution happened. But sorry.
That's great. No, but by the way, that was like, I remember, because obviously being a big fan of the movie and then reading that pilot to audition for Riggins.
Wait, in high school?
So I was, because I think I was just a fan of the movie, but I think when you guys started auditioning, well, I was again like a sophomore in high school being like, oh, this is like kind of perfect.
So I'm just so curious because my high school experience was high school and my college experience was college. And then it was like, and now I'm auditioning for stuff.
Yeah.
So, and you're in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And you're auditioning for big network pilots. So I'm very genuinely curious. Like, did you have an eight? Like, how are you auditioning for these things? Like,
well, so yeah, like I'd kind of always done like Austin at the time had a big tax incentive. So like there was like this flood of projects coming to Austin out of nowhere. So I would like get like a thing every once in a while, do like, a project a year or something. So when FNL came through, I was like, oh, this is it. This is the one. Like I knew like all the other guys, you're like a big fish in a small pond. You're like, none of these other dudes play football. Like I got this.
Right.
And then they bring you guys in from the big city, I was like, yeah, but yeah, I remember reading that pilot for the first time, and that's the big swing of like the Jason Street paralyzation moment was like such a thing where I was like, oh, this show's going to be so different. Like you knew at that point it wasn't trying to be the movie. It was going to go on and do something else.
Yeah, it was going to do its own thing. But you had been acting for a couple of years, right? And then I'm just checking the Great Debaters, that was the year after we premiered, right? That was like 2007, right? You were in The Great Debaters?
Yeah.
Denzel Washington directed that one?
Yeah, exactly. So I auditioned. Right. So I auditioned out of Texas originally. Then I drove to Shreveport to audition for Denzel for that. And then he called me up right after I got out of that callback. And he's like, okay, I'm going to have you come. I'm going to invite you to the table read. You're the only guy not cast. He called me. He's like 2 hours later. I was driving back from Shreveport to Austin, and he's like, I'm going to invite you to the table read. You're the only one not cast. The producers don't think you're the one. I think you're the one, but you're going to have to come there and prove that you're the guy." Oh, so I literally ran these like lines. I ran this speech like crazy, and I came to the table read in a tuxedo. Because he was like a debater, so I was like wanted to look older. I was 17, and this guy's supposed to be like in college, so I assumed.
So you thought tuxedo?
Tuxedo.
Yeah,
college party tuxedo. This guy, he's a pro. So it's like most people at a table read are literally wearing what you're wearing. They're like wearing like little, it's like.
And they wear the same one to
They wear
every
the
table
same
read.
one, just
Can we circle back to? I need to look older. I'm gonna wear a tuxedo.
There's like
you
also
almost might as well have gotten like a fake mustache or something.
it's so true. Well, you know what the funniest part is that you as a kid, you don't realize like how ridiculous that is. But like to see like a 17-year-old kid coming in a tuxedo while everyone else is in like sweats is like such a disturbing. Like this guy has no idea. This guy's capable of anything.
No,
Is he
but
on his
that's
way to
the thing.
prom? What is he doing?
See, Zach is so. This is why Zach and I were great roommates, because we are polar opposite on a lot of different things, but calm enough to like meet in the middle on almost all of it. I look at this and I think about the fact that like in my audition, I did something completely different. I ripped a different scene out of the pilot and told them, this is the scene that is Jason Street, because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm too young to know better. Gaius got on and rapped before he did his scene.
Yep.
And I don't know if he would do that now. Like now, you would never walk into a table read in a tuxedo, but back then you did it, and it worked, obviously. But the people that are in the room are going, holy shit, like, this is something we haven't seen. And just so, I mean, because we're talking about table read, I don't know that the audience that's listening, everybody knows what that is. It's before you take a TV show, episode, or a film to actually start shooting it. The actors just get together around a table and just read it. And some actors just read it monotone, but you read it word for word so the writer can hear the words and see if anything needs tweaking now that's coming out of actual actors' mouths, and maybe write to those actors, and the director can see what beats are really working and what's going to be great on the day and get ideas and everything. But yeah, so most people come in sweats and stuff. But anyway, so the tuxedo worked.
Tuxedo worked, and I literally went straight from there to debate camp. And so like I got to pal around with, Denzel Washington at debate camp at Texas Southern University, had a great time. And then when we actually shot it, the guy that went right before me, he was kind of like I would say like Harvard dean of the thing, and had sort of a hard time with the lines, and it was like this big long oneer, and it was just kind of frustrating. And Denzel kind of went at him a little bit, and then threw me up there and said, "Glenn, get up there, do your thing." And I did my thing in one take, and Denzel like high-fived me, and he was like so excited, and I was like, okay, cool. And then he introduced me to his agent, and it was this guy named Ed Lamato, who was kind of the president of William Morris at the time. And so then all of a sudden they were the two that convinced me to move out here. So that was kind of like the moment that I went from like Austin, Texas, like I'm going to do this for fun, to like, okay, maybe I should give this a go. That was
the moment. That was the big jump.
Yeah.
What year was that?
It's 2007.
It was probably, it was like, so I think the movie came out, I filmed in 2007. I think the movie came out in 2008.
Okay. That's awesome.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And so I think it was 2008 I moved out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then still we're auditioning for Friday Night Lights.
Totally, exactly. That's the other thing. I was like, it was haunting me.
I
like
can't
the
get
fact
this
that,
JD role. Denzel just anointed me.
Yeah, it was so true, dude. Like I moved out, and then also, it's just one of those things. It's just the girl you will never win their approval. You're just the one that got away.
I have a hard time when I don't book a role watching a thing.
Oh, that's
sometimes.
what I actually wanted to ask you. It was
Yeah.
like watching, because you said you watched
kept
the show.
watching.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just like, it's so well done. It's just, and there was like again, I would say that for Luke Cafferty, because it was like I kind of had, that was one I felt like I really could have done great on, and I blew it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
I've done that.
Where you just sit there, you're in the audition, you literally leave, and you're like, I just didn't deliver. I was like, I'm not getting this role. And
I tested for Captain America, and while I was in the test, wearing the Captain America suit on the Thor,
they gave it to you,
on
right?
the Thor stages.
You didn't bring your own Captain
one of those,
America
like-
suit, did you?
No,
because my origin story, real quick, is when I auditioned for any long story, they didn't want me. I got it by default. You can listen to our first podcast, but there was some dumb. He was probably not dumb. He's probably a very smart young man who had a football. And it was my turn to go in.
Brought the prop
and
with him.
He brought the prop,
Much
and
like
Pete
a
came
tuxedo.
out. He had to take a phone call. He was like, I want football kid. And took him in. I was like, the guy with the football? Like, that's so nerdy. Like, we get it. You're a quarterback.
Totally.
So anyway, but they told you to wear the costume, right?
No,
you
they
you went
they
to Target
custom
and you
built.
Okay.
They custom built. The day I was there, it was me, Mike Vogel, and Wilson Bethel, and John Krasinski, and they built each of us our own Captain America suits. and I had the shield. I had to go through a combat exercise. I had 3 scenes I had to perform. And the first 2 I crushed, and I was like, I'm just feeling so good about this. And then there was this like 1,000-yard stare scene between Cap and Bucky in like a bombed-out bar, and he's supposed to be talking about, you know, these really difficult situations, and I was just spacing.
Yeah,
and in my mind, as it just wandered out the door, I was like, yep, I'm mentally walking out of this audition because, and the director, Joe, was like, I did it twice. And he was like, I kind of want you to do it again, but if you don't get it in 2 takes, you're probably not going to get it.
Oh, no.
And
Well,
I
at least
walked
he was
out.
honest.
It's the ones that you're like, oh, this could be really cool and life-changing and want to be a
Yeah.
part
Oh,
of. It's like
I
those are the
auditioned for
ones
Captain America.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I auditioned for it.
Auditioned,
But in
yeah.
that moment, I know what
It's
you're
as far
saying
as
with
it
like
got.
the cavity, because it's like there are certain things that you know so well. I'm
Yeah.
a huge superhero nerd. Like we've talked about on the
Nerd,
podcast. He
just
would follow me to
nerd.
comic book
Nerd,
shops sometimes
nerd,
and just
nerd.
be like, what am I living with? And I know that guy inside and out, and I knew him like too well.
Yeah.
And I think I started like you get in danger of like start self-directing.
Totally.
You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is exactly what it is, so this is what I'm going to do, and then you become immovable, and
Yeah.
then you can't and then when it's not working, you have nowhere to swing to. So it was tough. I
Wait,
mean,
I want to ask you a question. Speaking of knowing people, but we're actors, we create characters. Everybody wants some.
Yeah.
You're from Texas.
Yeah.
You were an athlete. I hate putting actually. It sounds like a
Just roll
backhanded
with it.
compliment.
Just roll
It's not meant to be. I loved Finnegan
Oh, thanks.
because he is such a cookie cutter, dumb baseball player. Yet,
Yeah.
he's the smartest guy on the team.
Yep.
He totally gets it. The average
Yeah.
pitch.
Totally. Yeah.
But so, I'm curious. That was your first Linkletter movie.
That was actually my second.
Oh, it was?
I actually did Fast Food Nation before.
Oh,
A small role, like one-day role on Fast Food Nation.
I'm sorry. I just want to ask. Like, I thought it was such a cool role. It's such a fun movie, and like it being in Austin, like it's such.
Yeah.
Just speaking to that, like I know this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know this. I'm so
Yeah.
close to it.
Yeah.
Like, how did that feel? Like, what was that? How did that feel? Sorry,
mean,
that
that
was
was-
too specific, but I
No, that's like one of those that actually probably would have been like Friday Night Lights adjacent. The fact that I saw that script like 2 years prior, loved it, was like obsessed with that role, was like, I'm going to get this role, I'm going to play this role. And so as we kind of went through that process, and it was a lot of auditions. You had to do a baseball test. Actually with Plemons. Plemons and I did our baseball test together for that movie. Oh, really? Yeah, we went out to Pan Pacific Park and shot each other playing baseball.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
wait. Was that through them, or were you
It was
guys
through
friends?
them. So we were both
okay, sorry.
auditioning for it at the time.
Suck at Plemons.
No, but Plemons. I think Plemons like got something really big before they even cast. I'm like,
Probably.
I mean, the guy's not hurting. Let's just
No,
let's
he's
just,
fine.
He'll be fine. But yeah, we shot our videos together. It was probably like one of those like little flip. Remember those little flip?
the
cameras.
the flip camera.
Yeah, the little flip cameras.
I literally just found one in my
Yeah.
house. I was going through my storage, and I
I
thought,
have
this was
one.
cool for 6 months.
That was like the thing.
The only reason I still have it is because me proposing to my wife is on it.
You
flip
can
camera.
put it on your computer.
I know. I have
put
to-
it on
I'm
the
bad.
cloud.
Just watch it on that.
I'm
tiny
bad
little
with all
screen.
that.
The
I've
only
still
way
got-
I'll ever watch my proposal to my wife is
I've still got
Damn, man.
VHS I never put on DVD. I don't know what
Yeah.
you want me to do with this, but I mean that's Linkletter, right? And
Yeah.
like known for just kind of like slice of life, like kind of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not always, but
Yeah.
but one of the best in the film industry. You know, as far as cinematically, like. Has a similar kind of feel sometimes to like a Friday Night Lights. Like,
Yeah.
how is it working with Linkletter? Is it free flowing? Are you off? Script, or you-
It's interesting because I think like Rick gets a reputation for being like Pete, and you guys correct me, but like I think that I've heard that Pete kind of does like a thing. It's like, all right, you do the script and then just put in your own words, play around with it, no marks, move around, figure it out.
Very much so.
Rick is not that way. Rick is like, you rehearse leading up to it, you play around, you mess around. When it comes to game day, everything is pre-planned.
Oh wow!
So there is no.
I would not
yeah,
have guessed
yeah.
that.
So it's like
I would
everything
not
that we
either.
did is like was was all dictated before that day. So
And I only say I wouldn't have guessed that based on watching his movies because they
Yeah.
seem so natural
Yeah.
and so, I don't want to say unrehearsed,
Yeah.
but so in the moment.
Totally. All spontaneity. But that's the thing is like you rehearse it to enough where it's so in you that you can kind of just play.
It's like a play.
Yeah, and it's like the most fun way to go to work because you're so comfortable with it. Like you're not trying to find it. You're not working too hard for it.
So have you ever worked like we work on Friday Night Lights, which is no marks, no rehearsals, and you say the words on the page once or twice and then completely get off of the page?
No, I wish. Again, just like watching, knowing Plemons and all those guys growing up because I've known Plemons since I was probably like right around the time we were auditioning.
Really?
Did
Did you know him as a? So he's told us he was a pretty damn good football player in Mart, Texas. He was the starting quarterback. He said
I think he was the only football player on that football team. I don't even know. I didn't even know they manned 11 guys, not even 11 in the school. Mart, I'm sure he was great. I never saw him play football in Mart.
Well, I know playing basketball.
Saw him play baseball. He's a great baseball player.
Playing basketball with him. He is one of the more athletic cast members that we had actually, which was kind of crazy. I mean,
Athletic is a vast term.
Yeah, he's more athletic than you. But
I ran a marathon.
Hey guys, you have heard us talk about movement accessories before, but guess what? Zach has just joined the club as well.
Dude, I just got my movement watch, and it is so dope. I used to have like a fancy watch that I would wear all the time, and I scratched it up. I wear this thing everywhere. I wear it on the trails. I wear it surfing. I wear it wherever, and it does not have a single nick on it yet.
I know. It's super durable, and that's what I love about it. And it looks just as good as those fancy watches. I mean, I also got a pair of glasses, which I'm used to just beating to crap.
Oh, you look like a cool guy in your glasses. You look super cool. They even make you look cool, of all people.
I know, but listen, you got kids, I got kids. We're out, we're roughhousing, running around, playing sports with our kids and everything. And those glasses, they stay on, they're durable, they look awesome. Look, life's too short to settle for the same old things. Movement keeps your look and your lifestyle fresh with clean watches like Zach has, or glasses like I do at a price that won't make you rework your budget, man.
They got fresh, modern designs by a team of weekend mavericks who know what it means to go from 9 to 5 work days to 5 to 9 good times and every single adventure in between. You know me. I'm cool. I hit the club. I hit the preschool. I do it all. I'm wearing my movement. Everyone's like, damn, Zach, you look dope. I'm like, movement? What?
And we said they're durable earlier, and we really mean it. I mean, my watch is made of ceramic. They put ceramics on spaceships and send them to the moon. So this watch can literally go
a spaceship
anywhere.
On your wrist.
And one size fits all. There's a super chill shopping experience for you when you go to movement.com. That's MVMT.com. They got fast free shipping and returns all the time. And
it's the epitome of bang for your buck because you're not spending like $1,500 for a watch or something crazy like that. You're spending a normal amount of money for a watch that's going to last you forever.
Yeah. And you know what? It also makes a tried and true gift of great style and everyday confidence for anybody in your life. So make your everyday sidekick for life's adventures a movement. Get 20% off at MVMT.com and use code FNL today. That's MVMT.com, code FNL for 20% off.
One more time, that's MVMT.com, code FNL for 20% off. Yo, if you have ever listened to a podcast, you have heard of HelloFresh, and there's a reason, because they're the bomb. You get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You don't have to go to the grocery store. It just shows up at your house, and it's affordable, and that is why it is America's #1 meal kit. Look, you probably didn't know this, because I didn't know it either, but March is National Nutrition Month, and HelloFresh makes it so easy to choose delicious, dietitian-approved meals. Just look for dietitian win tag on their menu choices for meals under 700 calories and with 1/3 less the sodium, because sodium bloats you, and then you got to drink more water. We get it. You're busy. I know you're busy. You know you're busy. HelloFresh knows you're busy, and that's why they take care of meal planning and prepping and just freeing up time for you and your schedule with all the pre-portioned ingredients and completely idiot-proof recipes. Truth be told, I've used HelloFresh on and off for years. I was in Canada for a year and a half working. It was during a pandemic. I said, I don't know how to get food on the table. Oh, right, HelloFresh. And it was so bomb. Honestly, in Canada, I had to go to 4 different grocery stores just to get all the ingredients for one meal. With HelloFresh, it was all at my doorstep. I got the meal on the table, and my kids, no joke, loved it. I'm not even kidding. My favorite, winner chicken dinner with orzo cheesy roasted zucchini. And that sounds like cheesy, no pun because of the cheesy zucchini. But winner chicken dinner, you can't go wrong. You're not a loser. You're the winner. They got all sorts of taquitos. You want beef taquitos, turkey taquitos. You got it. They've got more than 2,500 different recipes, and you get to go and pick and say, I want this one, I want that one, I want that one, I want this one, I don't want that one. Anyway, whatever your dietary needs are, they got your back. Go to HelloFresh.com/FNL60 and use code FNL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/FNL60 and use code FNL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
But Friday Night Lights. All right. So, did you have a favorite episode? Was there something that you watched and you were like, I can't stop watching, despite auditioning for this thing, not getting? I'm continuing on. What was the moment? Do you think that caught you and was like, this is the show?
God, it's it's a great question. I mean, it was literally from the pilot, which is such a rare thing. When again with the Jason Street thing, where I was like, that's such a big swing, and it really defined why that show is going to be different. And then also, I just think that, knowing high school football coaches and knowing their wives, it was such an interesting flavor to add to that show. That was such the heart of the show. You can have all these other things, but when you have that parental thing of like caregiving for a group of young men where paralyzation is possible and you're trying to rationalize all these uncertain things, because that was a thing that I remember, it didn't happen at my school, but when you hear about guys getting paralyzed, you hear about really crazy things happening on the football field, or guys going and getting drunk and flipping their car after a game, or there's just there was always just like weird things happening around the Texas football program, and you heard about everything happening, and because it was these young boys are like idolized. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like walking around, if you played Texas football, you do have a large sense of self when you're in high school, and it's an inaccurate sense of self in the greater thing.
I've said world, even as a fake Texas high school football quarterback, I'm not kidding. Our fake offensive line, when we'd go out, I was their quarterback. Yeah, totally. And I was like, Austin's mine. It's mine.
Don't touch our quarterback.
You guys, even just hearing about you guys moving around Austin was exciting. Just like the fact
it didn't feel that way. It genuinely, it felt like there was, not in a bad way, and I love this. I'm from the Midwest, so it's like, don't get a swelled head. Yeah. There was a little, I don't mean this, it felt like there was a little, you can go yourself.
Really?
Like, not in a bad way. Like, in a, don't get ahead of yourself. Like, we love your show.
Okay.
We respect it, but we're not putting you up on a pedestal. I had my offensive line who would back me up, but the town itself, we like the show, but we've joked about it. There was no free barbecue or free whatever. Yeah. It was just like, we appreciate what you're doing, but
you're a part of Austin. You're not like running this town,
and you're not the actual football team.
I think it's like the keep Austin weird kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
they're a little bit
bow down.
They're a little bit standoffish. At least they were back then. I mean, Austin's a different place now than it was back then.
But I'm saying I loved it that it wasn't quote unquote Hollywood. It wasn't, oh, you're the TV show that shoots here, let's make you feel special. It was like, you can be a part of our community, but you need to be a part of our community, which we were, and I loved it.
Well, people, I mean, at least in my experience, like what would happen is you go to a barbecue restaurant or whatever, and they'd be like, guess who came in here the other day? You know what I mean? And it was like, it felt like that. It's like, oh man, the whole cast was over here. And, it's like, but there was this magic, and seeing you guys shoot around Austin and whatnot, it was like, it was just a magical moment to be in Austin and be around that thing, because it all felt, Austin hasn't really had something like that. That's like, I feel like brought it. Like that felt like it was part of its DNA since,
it really made us closer kind of as a cast and as a whole, though, because we really, when we got down there, we didn't know anybody, and the town was welcoming enough, but not to the point that they were putting us up on pedestals, so we didn't get big heads, and so we really leaned on each other and became friends and kept those friendships like going forward. You did a television show called Scream Queens, which was kind of like same age range. Well, just like up a couple of grades, like college. And I got to tell you, I said it in the opening, Chad Radwell is one of my all-time favorite characters. The fact that there's a Brad and Thad Radwell also is, I mean, it's so funny. But working on that show, first of all, you were given so much to do comedically, which I think was surprising for a lot of people, maybe who had maybe seen you in other things, but not known like this guy has so many chops comedically, which you do. But also, it seemed like you guys were all working together constantly. It was always like 6-7 people in a scene. Did y'all keep a friendship like that going forward off of that show?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Emma Roberts yesterday. I'm seeing Ollie Oliver Hudson a little later today. I'll see him. He and Kate for dinner, and it's like I love that whole cast. I mean, they're just it was great. But the thing that made Chad easier than filming scenes with all those girls, because like all the girls are in the sorority house, and there are like a ton of people in the scene. For the most part, Chad got to come in and just like do like 2 scenes an episode and have fun, and just like I'm out, and then I just get to go like kick it in New Orleans, which was awesome. I like loved shooting there. So I had a real it was a perfect way for someone who's kind of, I was like very unknown. The fact that I was just my buddy. So my buddy Cord, who was on Glee, so it's the same people that did Glee. Mm-hmm. They were looking for that role and they couldn't find this role, and I auditioned, and they called me back, and then they put it together that I was like Cord's roommate. And one of the writers who I'd kind of improv'd with him out at like a bar, this kind of character. We'd talk to people. I kind of in like a Chad thing, and so he asked me to put something on tape, and then everybody kind of put it together. It was it was really fun. But the fact that I got that role was kind of a big deal at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't really have a lot going on.
This is such a relationship business, and if you're good people and you keep, conversation going with friends that you make once upon a time, and it's interesting. You did a small part in a Linkletter film, and then years later, Everybody Wants Some happens, and like I wonder if that connection stayed alive throughout that time, or booking this role on Scream Queens, having known a couple of those people just through your roommate and keeping those relationships spinning.
I'll say, over the course of being out here and doing this thing, I think there is no one will ever give you the job because of that. The relationship thing does matter. It's like, there are certain people that audition for stuff. You're like, I want this guy to win, right? But it never will. It'll never get you the thing. It has to convert with everybody.
The nepotism doesn't work that way. It might get you in the door.
Yeah, it'll get you in the door.
But you need to be the right person.
Yeah.
But if you are the right person and they're searching for something and they haven't considered you yet, and they go, wait a minute, and it's like that light bulb moment that happened for you with like Scream Queens.
And I think the only other side to that too is if it's between you and another guy or girl or two, and it's like, well, I don't know this person from Adam, but I know this person loves this. I call and ask. There's a creator I've worked with a few times, and I love him. He's an amazing filmmaker, and he told me the first time I ever worked with, allowed him, Mike Flanagan, when I did Midnight Mass with him, he said, I always call around and ask about actors before I hire them.
Yes.
He said, I reach out to the second ADs. I reach out to the PAs.
A lot of people, you have no idea what their actual on-set persona is like.
Yeah.
And so I've done this before where I put friends up for, I'm like, you got to hire this guy. They're amazing. And they were a nightmare on set. Nightmare. And I was like, oh, shit. I just never put it together. Like, this person is a nice person when you're going to grab dinner with them, but as soon as they have, and they're the ecosystem of a set, the power dynamic may shift or something. I don't know
there's
what
also
happened,
pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Like when you do book something and you're on set and a lot is being asked of you, and you're doing sometimes pressure creates time, and sometimes it eruptions occur.
Yeah.
So it's just like you never quite know how somebody's going to operate under the things they're being asked to do, and that's actually a really good segue.
I was going to say.
Go ahead.
It's a segue.
Are we doing the same segue?
I don't. Well, no, you're probably gonna be way more eloquent, so I should let you do it. But it just kept making me think about dude, you just did Top Dog. I can't even say it.
Top Dog, yeah.
Top Dog,
yeah.
It's a great show.
I was gonna say
Top Gun.
Let me do the segue.
Yeah,
all right. I'll do the segue.
But
great. This is good.
Yeah. Our producer's I've never seen him laugh like that.
What I was going to say is, like, speaking of things that actors are tasked to do or asked to do in the creation of a role or in the filming of a television show, like for Zach, he's playing with former All-American. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of our stunt guys played at UT. James Brown, James Brown, quarterback for UT, led him to a Big 12 championship. That was Aldous Hodge's stunt double.
No way.
And, Tim Riggins, his stunt double, his main one, Eric Smart, was a starting strong safety at Texas Tech, and we had semi-pro, football players there. One of Riggins' other stunt guys, Wichita, he played in semi. They called him Wichita because he played semi-pro football in Wichita Falls.
That's great.
And with me, Jason Street was tasked with learning how to transition into a chair and see how I could do that, play a sport like quad rugby. But Oscar weekend is this weekend. Top Gun Maverick nominated for an Oscar, and in that film, you were asked to do a hell of a lot. What did you do for that film?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cruise is not big on stunt doubles. So
I've heard.
He so he put us, like, there was the first thing that happened whenever we got cast in that movie. Immediately went into flight school and started flying the Cessna, the extra 300, and getting my G tolerance up, and then moved up to the L-39 and then the F-18. And so, I mean, if he didn't put us through that, I don't think we would have been able to act up in those planes. It's way more intense than I think people realize. Like, it's your blood is being drained from your head constantly when you're, like, dogfighting. It's so disorienting. So to get G tolerance, where your body literally can recognize G's, know how to push blood back from your heart to your head to stay awake.
What's a
G? Is one gravity, right? So it's like your body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, cool, 1 G. 2 G's, 400 pounds. It's just a multiple of that. So by the time you get, we're pulling 7.5 G's. Oh. It's exhausting. I mean, it just. And if you fly twice a day, your
body
barely
feeling
stand.
like it's being pulled to earth, and you're that heavy, and like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
When you go to move anything, you're fighting that constantly.
Yeah, you can't even.
Oh,
yeah. So it was one of those experiences that at the time I knew we were making something special because we were doing something no one else had tried to do on film before, which was pretty cool. Like, the Navy gave us whatever we wanted. They were like, hey, like, obviously within the realm of safety.
Really nice
Tom knew how to, like, use and abuse some Navy assets. I mean, we pushed these things to the limit, and all these pilots had never done anything like this before.
Was there ever a time where you thought, I'm about to die?
Yeah. There was a couple. There was a couple close calls. Everybody had at least one, at least one sort of, like, moment that you were like, oh, that was really close. I mean, you were flying through canyons at 450 knots.
Wait, you really are flying through those canyons?
Yeah. When you see those canyon shots, like you're.
But someone else is flying the plane,
Somebody else is flying the plane, but you're in the back. And I remember my pilot at this one point telling me, he's like, because I was kind of like not feeling great. I was like, but like started the day being like, hey man, I think I'm coming down with a cold or something. Like, I'm not feeling so hot, but they're like, we got to get this.
Glenn,
baby,
you have a cold.
Man,
get in the plane.
So he's like, get up in the plane. So I got up in the plane, but I have a stick in the back, so I have a yoke and I have the throttle on the stick. And he told me as we were about to go on this canyon run, he goes, Glenn, if you sneeze, we will die. I need you to know that. He's like, because if you sneeze and you hit the stick,
right,
you're going into a mountain. So he's like, if you're feeling anything, if you're about to sneeze, he goes, hit the canopy, scream, whatever you have to do, but do not hit that stick. He's all pull out, but he goes, if you hit that stick, because we're going so low that you're flying out, 100 feet off the deck, and you're orienting over mountains like this. So
the hard deck or the
the actual hard deck, which is the ground. Yeah,
that's what I thought you meant. Not the 5 deck, because we lowered the deck in the movie.
You can lower the deck. No, this is the hard deck, which is
the ground
surface.
The ground. Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Man, I mean, the most The most like pressure I've been under in a take is like, we're losing the sun. If we don't get it here, it's not going to be as pretty.
I gotta say,
you're like, if we don't get this, if you do this one wrong thing in this shot, everyone's dying. I can't say that I can operate under this pressure.
I have to admit, when the movie was coming out, I was like, yay, Top Gun. And then it was like the biggest thing in the world. I was like, this is a movie. I love the movie. It was the movie from the 80s, the fighter jets, the biggest movie in the world. Like, I don't know why I was so angry that this was the movie.
Yeah.
And then
you're a hipster. You didn't want to go see it.
I'm not a hipster, dude. I live in Silver Lake.
Like, now everybody thinks it's cool. I'm not going to go see Top Gun.
I wear a hat, but not because I'm
You see Top Gun in the theater,
I did not.
When did you watch Top Gun,
I
Zach?
watched it over the weekend.
He watched it on his flip
I was
camera.
like, look, if I'm
the
going
USB
to sit down and talk to this guy, I got to watch this movie. And my wife was like, she's like, can you shut up? And I'm like, what? She's like, you're like, like, I was so pumped.
Yeah.
This movie was so fun and like just so well made that I was like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense that this was the biggest movie in however long. And congratulations, I loved it.
Yeah, this one's been pretty surreal, and also like the fact that we made the movie. We were like, wow, just to beat the odds and make the movie, and then we had to hold on to it for 2 years, which was like really tough because nobody knew if the film business was going to be here on the other side of it, and then we finally release it. It does what it does, and everybody's like, holy moly! And now it's like nominated for an Oscar. It's had over 4 years. It's had all these like crazy new chapters to it. So it's been pretty surreal. It's like even Cruise and like Bruckheimer are like you only get really one or two of these in your career. They've had a lot of amazing ones, but they were like we've never had anything like this.
I've seen one movie nominated for Academy Award this year, and that is Top Gun Maverick. But what I know they have, which we had in common with Friday Night Lights, was we hired people to do jobs and let them do their jobs. We didn't say, hey, I'm going to hire you to do lights. Let me show you how to do lights. We said, I hired you to do lights. You go ahead and do lights the way you do lights.
Yeah, because you're the best, just like ZipRecruiter is. And look, if your business isn't like the film industry, they still do the job for you. You want the most talented people on your team to make your business successful, which is why you should use ZipRecruiter to find them. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/FNL.
Look, I don't know what ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology does or how it does it, but I do know that it zooms in on the leading candidates for your job and puts them in the spotlight.
And it also lets you roll out the red carpet for candidates you're really interested in by sending them a personal invite to apply for your job.
Ooh, red carpet like the Oscars, but also ZipRecruiter offers show-stopping labels that speak to job flexibility like urgent, training provided, remote, and more, wherever, whatever. You get it.
You know what, Zach? I think if there was an award for easiest hiring, it would probably go to ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/FNL.
Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/FNL. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy. What are your thoughts on it? I know that for myself, I have been in therapy since my early 20s, which was a long time ago. And once I started, I just sort of never looked back. I feel like nothing helps me more with developing tools to live a life with more joy, more ease, more presence, more peace than getting to know myself and being introspective and having a trained professional help me know how to do that, from tiny minutia, daily life issues to bigger problems and really painful situations. I found it's incredibly helpful when it comes to coping. And it can kind of just help you get closer to the best version of you. So BetterHelp is actually a great way to give therapy a try because it's super convenient and it's affordable and it's flexible and it's just online. So, you can just make an appointment and reach out whenever you want some assistance. Also, all you have to do is just fill out a brief questionnaire and you get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which is cool because therapy can be like dating. Sometimes you gotta date around to find the right one. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/FNL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FNL.
It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights and Beyond is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Hey, y'all. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's on your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance, too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, then they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I remember you telling me this like way back in 2019, pre-pandemic, just how special this film was. And it was scheduled to be released. And you actually helped out the charity that I'm really involved with, HDSA, the Huntington's Disease Society of America, and you're like, hey, how do we capitalize on this and try and figure out? And you offered a package of how we could raise money and you were like, this movie is special, and people are going to want to see this thing. And you told me that long ago. Charity wise, another thing that ties you back to Friday Night Lights, and moving on from Top Gun, if you're okay.
Can we re-examine the hard deck?
No. Okay. Anyway, you came a couple of times. This was shortly after I think we met, actually. And you came and took part in something that we did in Austin called Beyond the Lights. It was a charity golf tournament that we did a couple of times. And you came and you donated and you really helped out Gridiron Heroes and the charity that we were aiming for. What got you in that whole golf tournament? Was it Brad?
I think
Leland?
That's a good question. I think it was just like sort of the Austin film thing. Everybody was kind of a part of it. Mm-hmm. And I played a lot of golf in Austin. And then it was just, again, it was like you watch that show and you feel such a tie to that cause, and community. So it was like, that was such a blast too, to just see. I mean, that charity made a lot of. I don't know if is it still going?
No, it's not going anymore. It ran for I think 4 years. It was golf and poker, and we. But that first year, I think everybody was out there. The entire cast was there.
It was epic.
I think that's where you met Zach. Although Zach doesn't remember it. I don't think.
No. It hurts. It hurts to be forgotten. But again, even more so after I auditioned a couple more times, didn't get that either. Then people don't remember you at all because.
Well, I wasn't at your auditions. I would have chemistry read.
You were also at my
heartbeat. And I would have said
you did though. You did chemistry read.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I totally forgot to tell you guys. This is a story that my mom tells about. We went and visited Plemons on the set one time, and my mom, I guess, kind of looked like Plemons' mom on the show, or was maybe dressed like that at the time. Mm-hmm. So we're all sitting there watching everybody shoot, and they're all kind of starting to wrap up the day, and a guy sticks his hands down the back of my mom's pants like this, and my mom goes, "What this?" And he was looking for the wire. Thought it was what's her name?
thought she had the mic pack.
The guy went just like turned completely white. And mom's like, "This is a friendly set."
Wait! You visited the set of Friday Night Lights.
Oh yeah,
How many times did you do set visits? How much pain did you want to inflict on yourself?
Can I tell you? Yeah, it really. I'm really glad we're actually getting this out. I needed to talk about this. I had no idea how much I needed to get all this out. It's been painful, guys. It's been a painful thing to hold inside.
Sorry,
but I really did. I visited a couple times when you guys were shooting the stadium, and then visited Plemons. I think once or twice, but that was. That's
a number of times at the stadium. I mean, you're talking
epic.
Texas Stadium.
Yeah,
Darrell K. Royal.
Dallas?
No, down in Austin.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Well. You were meant for bigger and better things, I think. And the reason you didn't get the show is so you could do something like, I don't know, take a book all the way to film form, like you just did this past year. Top Gun wasn't the only movie you did about naval aviation, you had a passion project called Devotion. I remember you telling me about this thing years ago. And I remember it meaning so much to me because it takes place in the Korean War. And my grandfather, Patrick Palmier, he was a colonel in the Air Force, also served in the Korean War. And it is kind of, as they say in the film, and as my grandfather referred to it for many years before he passed this year, the Forgotten War. And you, I think your grandfather also served in the Korean War? Is that right?
Yeah, my William Powell. So he was over there. And it's interesting because all the stories he told, you always hear these stories about World War II, and everybody kind of has like a film context for that. Like you kind of forget how the only people – history really only comes alive in some wars and stages of combat through movies, the content that we make about these things and how we dramatize it and the heroes we tend to focus on. And the Korean War, I don't think they made a Korean War movie in like 40 years, like something that actually like focused on the Korean War.
Right.
And so that was like kind of just like a part of me wanting to honor my grandfather, because I always felt like he would tell people about the Korean War and people just didn't know what it was and didn't have context for how incredible insane what people went through over there. I was reading the book Devotion. I was like, man, this is a cinematic world with high stakes, and it really embodies like what America was going through at the time, and like, you know, as a country, but also as the citizens in the world. It was such a time of change and trying to be the best version of ourselves, and that's kind of what that movie's about. Is like, if you're a good person and you want to show up for somebody, how do you do that in a really confusing time? So, I'm really proud of that movie. But it took years to get that thing off the ground, and so I think it was like 5 years of maybe even longer than that. It was like, I think I read it in 2017. No, 2016 is when the book came out. I got the option in 2017. So
you optioned that book.
Yeah.
And then you're a producer then at that point.
Yeah.
And you're trying to find people who believe in this piece of literature the same way that you do, and this story the same way that you do. After talking to the families that are affected by this true story, and then you get this thing made, like, off of gumption solo, or
I think that also goes back to what you're talking about with the tuxedo in the table read.
He would go into these Hollywood meetings in a tuxedo.
Wait.
It's like Jerry Bruckheimer.
True or false? Yeah. When you walked in to meet the families who, the Brown family and
the Hudner family,
when you met them, were you or were you not wearing a tuxedo?
Tuxedo T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
Great.
He classed it up.
This sealed the deal.
Yeah.
Well, wearing multiple hats, and then, first of all, that film, I actually was lucky enough to go to the premiere and see it. The cinematography in that film is so incredible. The planes are old as possibly can be, right? I heard a story, or you told me a story. You had to actually borrow a part from the Smithsonian?
Yeah, for the helicopter.
For the helicopter to fly.
Yeah.
That is insane.
This thing, when I got on the ground after we finished the scene, all the pilots, because we'd been flying, you know, Sea Furies and Bearcats. And
you just fly stuff all the time.
I just fly stuff.
You're like, oh, Top Gun. I know about the hard deck.
That's what I
can fly
do.
stuff.
Yeah. It's got wings. Sign me up. But yeah, this helicopter is so old. It's literally the oldest helicopter, I think, in the world. And when I got on the ground, every pilot was like, that made me so nervous. I was like, what?
Man.
Up there.
Well,
so, yeah.
Well, a lot is made of like the cinematography on Friday Night Lights and how it's very unique in the landscape of television and everything. But what blew me away was how you, with your director of photography, the aerial director
Eric
of photography.
Oh, you're talking about Kevin LaRosa.
LaRosa, how you catch some of those. Because I was like, oh, this is all CGI, right? This is all, at this point in time, we're hardwired after all these superhero movies to think that a lot of this stuff in Top Gun and Devotion is all CGI. But how do you capture some of that? Where are these cameras? How are you shooting this? Or are these camera operators actually flying alongside?
It is so impressive when you see it up close. I just shot something. The third thing I've shot with with aviation, technically naval aviation.
If you get your pilot's license, you start.
I got to chill out now. But on Top Gun, learning how somebody rigs a camera, because if you think about rigging cameras to a a supersonic jet.
It needs to be on there really well.
I would say, yeah, more than duct tape, more than anything else. Like you need.
This isn't an indie movie.
But it's also like it changes the airworthiness of the plane. It changes the way that air moves around the wings, and it changes the way, that is so crucial to how a plane flies. Yeah. And so they have this thing called a Cinejet, which they have a camera rigged up to the front of this other jet. And it's a chase plane, so it can get crazy close. These planes are flying. I flew with the Blue Angels, and you're 18 inches away from another plane. So these shots that they're getting are so dynamic and so crazy. And I use that technology on Devotion. Everything I learned on Top Gun, I took Kevin LaRosa, who was our aerial coordinator on Top Gun, took him on to Devotion. And then I just put him on. JJ Abrams and I are producing the Blue Angels documentary. That comes out I think later this year. So we just used that same technology and took it even a step further for all these cameras and real air shows, all this crazy stuff.
That's awesome, man. And sometimes you have to get your own shot when you're up in that plane, right? You have to turn the camera on. You have to make sure everything's running.
Yeah.
See, on Friday Night Lights, we had to remember our own continuity. Doing the scene, flying through the canyon, you get done, and someone has forgot to turn the air camera on.
Honestly, it happened.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
okay, that's a story for another day. Glenn, I just wanted to say, man, now that you are wearing multiple hats, you're creating all these films yourself. I know you never booked Friday Night Lights.
So
but at this point,
you're bringing it up again.
At this point,
I almost got over it.
We just brought you on to be like,
at this point,
Top Gun, well, guess what? You never got to do.
I got to make myself feel better. No.
Really
but
hurt.
At this point, my question is like, would you ever want to be involved in trying to make like the next kind of like Friday Night Lights, like
it's a great idea,
a very honest portrayal of life in a small town like that, something more made for television, as
like a small town pilot,
small town pilot just trying to get his wings. I've written down the kind of movies and shows I want to make, and Friday Night Lights in terms of like stuff I want to produce, stuff I want to be a part of, stuff I want to put out in the world. That's exactly that's the bullseye. So I mean, you can only make so many movies, you can only make so many shows in your life, and it's like, what do you want to be a part of? What's the legacy you want to leave in that? And it's like, again, not to bring it up, it's literally my favorite show I've never been on, but it's like I really think that that show, again, has also stuck with people. It's also fun to listen to people discover that show now. Like later, it kind of finds its new life with new people, and it's still as potent and cool as it's ever been. So it's like, I think that's definitely the target. If I can produce a Friday Night Lights, that would be the goal.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, rewatching the show now, we've seen some characters who were afterthoughts for us, I think, when we were filming or watched the first time, like step to the fore, just because this many years later, the world has changed to a point where a character like Tyra, who we talk about all the time, is just seen in such a different light. And she's such a badass now. And it's like that show has aged pretty well. It's a conversation starter. It's shot uniquely, and there's still not many shows like it that have been made for TV. So we love the fact that you love it so much. You are such a talented dude, even better guy.
Thank you for coming.
Man. Thank you so much for coming here. For everybody out there listening today, if you enjoyed the episode, if you have any questions for Glenn, don't ask them in the Apple Rate and Review section of Apple Podcasts, because I don't know he'll be back anytime soon. I think we might have, harped on the fact that he wasn't on the show too many times.
I'm going to go cry in my car after this.
But you can leave any questions for us as we go forward. Any other guests that you might like to see on the show, let us know. Also, subscribe over on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody who listened today. We will see you next Thursday. On behalf of myself, Scott Porter,
Zach Gilford,
Glen Powell,
we say clear eyes, full hearts.
Can't lose.
Can't lose.
There's your shot. You got to say it.
It's the only line I've had on Friday Night Lights.
See ya.